channel once again. Today is the lecture number 2 of learning MySQL. Today we are going to learn the basic three things. The first is how to create a database in such a way that if we want to confirm that the same named database was present earlier or not. The second thing is how we are going to insert values into the tables created by us. And the third thing is how to set up a primary key or a null value key for some table constraints. So let us begin with the video. First of all, we are going to create a fresh database. Let's name it data new. Suppose create database data new. So put the semicolon and it shows query OK. So we have created the new database named data new. I request every one of you to watch the previous video if you have not watched till now, because in that we have covered the basic DDL commands like create and some few more. So now as we have created the database, so what if you want to create a new database now, suppose, and if you want to confirm that the same name database is not present. So let us write one query. Suppose I write create database, and suppose I now write supposingly that I want to create a database with the same name data new, and I don't remember that if I had made that named database earlier. So now if I try to put the query, it shows that error because the database named data new already exists, so we can't create it. So for that we have one thing that we can write in addition to this query, that is create database, and then you need to write the words if not exists. This means that if the database named the name we are going to write, if it does not exist, then create it or else leave it. So now if I try to write create database if not exists data new, so it will run the query, and it has shown one warning because we have created a database data new that had been created earlier. So basically if not exists is used to check whether the same named database is present or not. So now we are going to use the created database. So write use data new, that is the name of our database. I again request all of you to watch the previous video because we have covered all these basic definitions in the previous video. So now we are going to use the database use data new, and now I want to create a table. So create table, let the name of the table be my table, and now put the enter key and put the field names. Suppose name, and the name is always in a variable character, so varchar, and I want the name within 20 words suppose. And suppose I don't want a null value in the field name, so leaving one space I'll write one I can say two words that are not null. This means that you cannot put a null value in the field name named as name, name. So put the comma. Now suppose I want the roll number field, so roll number always in an integer format, so write integer. And suppose every student in the school has a roll number of 5 numbers, so I'll limit it to 5 words, or let's say 5 digits. And as we know that every student has a unique roll number. So we can set it as a primary key. Now, basically, a primary key is a key or a unique value that identifies each record in the table uniquely. That is, you have your personal unique roll number, and if a teacher wants to search for your records, he or she may enter the roll number and may get all the records of yours. So, if I want the roll number as a primary key, I'll write, leaving one space, I'll write primary key. Then I'll put a comma, and now suppose I want to add another field named name as suppose age, and again it will be an integer and it will be of 2. Let us not put any constraint because the child may be small or big, 9 years, so it will be a 1 digit, 12 years it will be a 2 digit. So I'm not putting any constraint. And now let's close the brackets, put the semicolon, and it shows that your table has been created. Now let's see how the table looks. So describe the table name, that is my table. So the table looks something like this. Now here you can see that the name, you can't put a null value in place of it. So it shows that null, it's no for name and roll number. Roll number we hadn't written not null, but it is showing no because it is a primary key, and for a primary key you always need a value. So you can't have null value in the case of roll number, so it is showing it can't be null. While age, we haven't put any restrictions. You can put a null value in case of age. And in front of roll number, you can see in the case column it is written PRI. That is because we had set it as a primary key. So now suppose I want to add some records to my created table, that is my table. So I'll write the command for it as insert, that is I want to insert something into it. Then I'll write into, that is insert into, then the table name, that is my table, that is insert into this table, and then I'll write the word values, that is I want to add some values to it. Now I'll show you some other features like how to write this thing if you want to add just name and roll number. So that will come later. First let's learn how to add all the three things to it. Now press the enter key so that you can view it more you can view it more systematically. So put the brackets. Suppose the now one thing you need to remember is that add the record in the same name as they are present in the field names. That is, when you write the record, first write the name, then the roll number, and then the age. Now remember that whatever values you write, make sure that you keep a habit of writing all the strings in enclosed apostrophes, that is single quotes, and the integers you can write without apostrophes. So you can view it easily that what I have written is a string or an integer. So now suppose I want to add the first record and the name of the student is suppose Mohan. So I'll write Mohan into the apostrophes. So that is a name. Now I'll put a comma, and suppose his roll number is 1 2 3 4 5. Let's just assume it. And suppose his age is let's say 12. Now I'll put the bracket close and put the semicolon and press enter. So it will show that the query OK and one row has been affected. This means that the record of Mohan, whose roll number was 1 2 3 4 5 and his age was 12, it has been added to your table, my table. So let's just check it. Now here comes a new command, that how to check the records which have been added to the table. So for that we have the command select. Now if you want to view all the records, just put a star. Star means that you want to view or select all the records from the table. So select star from. From means basically from where you want to view the record, and select star from my table. that is, you want to view the records from my table. Put the semicolon and press enter. Now you can clearly see that the name, roll number and age are the columns, and the first record is of Mohan, whose roll number and age as we entered above. So now suppose if you want to add multiple records to your table. So sometimes we come across conditions when we have a lot of records to enter. So we can't waste time by entering one record at a time. And so we need to enter the records simultaneously. So suppose if you have two records and you want to enter it at once. So for that we have a different way of writing the same insert into command. So first let me again show you how the table looks. So the name of the table was my table, so I will describe it. So it has three fields: name, roll number and age. So now if we want to enter multiple records at once, we'll write insert into, then the name of the table, my table. And here is the thing which you need to remember. You need to put two brackets and put into it the field names, that is a name, roll number and age. So this means that you want to insert the field the field names of name and roll number and age. You want to enter the records into these fields. So now we'll write values and press the enter key for a more systematic view. Put on the bracket for entering the record. So if the first record is of a student, suppose named John, his roll number is 12054, his age is suppose 13, and put the bracket. So this is a complete one record. Suppose the other record is of a student named David and his roll number is 12098 and his age is suppose 15. So these are the two records which you want to add. So you put a comma in between. This separates the two record, and now we put the semicolon and press the enter. So it shows that two rows have been affected. This means that the two new records have been added to the table. So for that purpose, let's check whether they have been added to it or not. So we'll write the same query again. Select star from the table name, that is my table. Put the semicolon and press enter. Yes, the three records have been added. The record of Mohan that was added earlier, the record of John and David that have been added recently. So if you want to add multiple records, 2, 3 or n number of records, you can use the syntax as I showed above. So this was for how to enter multiple records in the table. Now suppose let's see what happens if we want to enter, if we try to enter a duplicate value. Suppose I write the same syntax as insert into my table, and suppose I try to change the name as John, I try to name as Jonathan, and with the same unique ID that we had put as primary key, roll number was as a primary key, so you can't have duplicate roll numbers. So what if I try to uh, add a duplicate roll number to it? So it will show that duplicate entry 12054 for key myTable.primary. This means that we are adding to add a duplicate record to it. Since we had put it as a primary key, it won't allow us to enter a duplicate entry.